Hello and welcome to Under the Hood. It is Tuesday, October 11th. I'm Eli Karp, host and editor-in-chief of Thriller Flag Sports, where kids can be pundits too. Panel alongside me today, consisting of Gannon, Happy, Rock the Barn, and Danimo. Lots to get to today. As usual, seems like I repeat the same line every time I come on air. Very exciting. I know Rock the Barn is having trouble keeping it inside, but the NHL season begins tomorrow night, and he has been counting down the days. But before we get to hockey, we're going to do our brief football segment. I know we do plenty of football, but it's only 17 Sundays during the regular season, so you got to make the most of it when you can. And going back to last night's game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers survived the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte 17-14 on a Roberto Aguayo walk-off game-winning field goal. He already had missed two, and Buccaneer fans were probably holding their breath like, oh, he's going to miss another one. But he was able to nail it, and the Broncos, I just keep naming weird teams. The Panthers are now 1-4 after being Super Bowl favorites walking into the Super Bowl after a 15-1 regular season last year. Go figure. Cam Newton's out with a concussion this week. He'll probably be back this coming week, but it has not been a very kind season to the Panthers. And I'm curious to see what you guys think. What exactly is plaguing the Panthers as to why they're off to a poor start and if they'll be able to recover or not? Let's start with Happy.
No, with the Panthers, I think their struggles. I think you see it a lot with teams that are coming off a Super Bowl loss, is that they're just not able to rebound the same way they played. And I heard this fact from somewhere, I don't remember where, but only two teams have won the Super Bowl after losing the Super Bowl the previous year, and both have happened over 30 years ago. I believe one was the Dolphins and one was the Cowboys back in the 70s. Now, I think a lot of problems have occurred with the Panthers. Obviously Cam Newton was injured, concussed. Their defense has not been performing, and I don't really see a way that the Panthers will be able to rebound from this in a way that will get them at least to win the division. The best for them right now is probably the wild card spot.
Okay, Gannon?
Well, I think it's gotta be centralized around the fact that they are not healthy on either side of the ball. Mostly on offense, though, considering they played the Buccaneers without their starting quarterback and starting running back. Cam Newton, of course, out with the concussion. Jonathan Stewart has been out for a few weeks. And they cannot wait for them to come back because last year a lot of their offensive attack centralized around how much they pounded the ball. I mean, that's their motto, keep pounding. They ran the ball more than any team in the league last year. And now that they don't have both of their top rushers in Cam Newton and Jonathan Stewart, that's definitely taken them a step back, and they're waiting to get those guys back. And then the other thing is they definitely don't have the same energy as last year's team. Like Happy said, coming off a Super Bowl loss, it's definitely hard to rebound that kind of energy, and they don't have it on the field.
Just a quick note to our viewers, if you're viewing live through YouTube, we don't have a questions app, but we do have a chat box, and you can submit your questions there. We will be monitoring that throughout tonight's broadcast, so feel free to submit your questions. We'll try to get to as many of those as possible, assuming we get some. We've gotten goose eggs sometimes, so who knows. Let's go to Danimal. Your thoughts on why the Panthers have been pretty horrific so far?
Well, I gotta say one word is just defense. I mean, defense last year, their offense was good, but defense kind of carried them all the way last year. Luke Kuechly and obviously Josh Norman, but he's gone, and their secondary is looking, and their defense is not what it used to be. And their offense being in the state that they are, it's just not helping out. Cam Newton, concussion, and he was on a bike earlier without a helmet, so let's see how that goes. Jonathan Stewart, he's hurt, and honestly, he's not even that good. It's kind of opinion-based, but he's not a prime running back, I'd say. And honestly, if you look at that offense, there's not that much threats. You look at other teams like maybe the Steelers or the Vikings, and they have like a lot of different
The Vikings, wow.
The little eyebrow. But they have a lot of threats to go to. Yeah, Sam Bradford threats. But Cam Newton, honestly, you have Greg Olson. I mean, yeah, he's a good tight end, but sometimes he doesn't show up all the time. And who else? Calvin Benjamin. And he doesn't show up either. And all that. Who's left? Devin Funches? Like, no, that's not how an offense should be. All the bandwagoners are buying their outbound tickets, and keep pounding is just over.
Keep pounding has turned into keep dumbfounding so far this season. Yes, I'll take props for that one. I have to say, you're really hopping on the Minnesota side of things, Danimal. Adam Thielen for the win. Am I right? I mean, when you're talking about these threats, you have to keep in mind you love Calvin Benjamin, the two stud wide receivers on both teams, Kelvin and Stefan, not Stefan. And plenty of people like to spell it with an A. Gannon, I know you're just waiting to jump out of your seat and get that point in as well. But the two most common mistakes, I'd have to say. And I have to agree with you, Danimal, that they're just – I think they have plenty of – the weapons aren't an issue, especially considering what they did last year. I think they're stuck in a post-Super Bowl hangover, personally. I think they were riding a big high. They got shut down. And then this season, everyone's like, well, they'll be back. Nothing really changed besides Norman, and how many wins is that really going to affect in the long run? But I think they kind of thought they would walk away with the NFC South Championship because nobody really thought that the Saints, Buccaneers, or the Falcons would really be serious enough to take it from them. But the Falcons have shown themselves to be a pretty darn good deal, and they have no corners. I mean, the secondary is really damaged with no Norman. Now Ben Wickery is gone. They have Bradbury back there, McLean, Coleman. Coleman's a good safety, but it's not the same secondary. And even though they have a lot of the same guys up front, you got K'Wan Short, Coney Ely, Starla Tulele. They got plenty of guys up there. And, of course, they've got linebacker you in the middle. Just haven't been able to get it done. I think they're just suffering from a little bit of the mental hangover, and we'll finish with Rock the Barn and then get to some questions.
Well, besides defense, everyone's saying the O-line has not played to the best of their ability, allowing Cam Newton to be pressured a lot and forcing what ended up forcing an injury, and I feel that has really been one of the key factors besides defense, because you guys have seemed to take in all the other things that I was going to say.
Okay. We'll get to our first two questions. Actually, the first one coming from our good friend, Mr. Purple, saying, who is better, Ezekiel Elliott or DeMarco Murray? One, a current Cowboy, one, a former Cowboy. And I think, in my opinion, they're both very talented. A lot of it comes down to the offensive line. And I'm going to give this one. Who wants to take this one? Who thinks they have a good answer? Danimal, answer Mr. Purple.
Well, as much as I like DeMarco Murray, I gotta say Ezekiel Elliott is just a lot better. DeMarco Murray's kind of reaching the end of his career. Well, not quite yet, but he's approaching. And Ezekiel Elliott is a young blood, and he's just been racking up tons of yards. He kind of looks like DeMarco Murray past DeMarco Murray back when he was on the Cowboys and how dominant he was. I like how Elliott's been playing. If he can keep it up, he'll always be on my fantasy team, and they might have something in Dallas.
Okay, are happy?
On the contrary, you called DeMarco Murray towards the end of his career. He's only 28 years old, sorry. So I think he's not really towards the end of his career. And I think really last year, the Philadelphia season really just killed him. Like, I think he didn't really have that offensive line. And so far, yeah, the Tennessee Titans not near that Dallas line that he had. But you can't just say DeMarco Murray. Elliott's great. He's starting his career. I think he'll have a great career. But right now, I think Murray's the better running back. His stats have definitely improved this year. He already 461 yards and 3 touchdowns only through 5 games. So I think you can't count out Murray.
All right, Danimal, I would go to you, except that we have a lot of questions coming in and we have a lot to get to. So the next question is, and this one is tailor-made for Gannon. What do you think about the Vikings? And that might be a little vague. How do you think the Vikings came up to number 1? Okay, this I will give to you.
Blair Walsh.
Me?
Yes, you, Gannon. The one with the purple wall.
Well, the Vikings, there's really something special about this team. You can tell they're modeled in the same aspect that the Super Bowl winning teams from the past have kind of followed that same sort of build. You look at the Seahawks of 2014, they had that strong defense, competitive offense, just like the Broncos last year, and the Panthers last year even, how they went to the Super Bowl as well. That's kind of how the Vikings are built right now, that strong defense, they're smash mouth, always getting to the quarterback. And then on offense, they're making do with what they can. No Peterson, no Bridgewater. Last game they had no Stephon Diggs. He was absent for that game, and Adam Thielen stepped up. It's just kind of that next man up mentality. And I think the home field advantage could also be a real factor down the stretch. If I was there this weekend and it was loud, it was definitely deafening.
And, Gannon, one place I will say that the Vikings actually have an edge over that Seahawks team, in my opinion, is discipline. This Vikings team is incredibly well disciplined, and the Seahawks have always had trouble. The Pete Carroll mantra is, as good as the team will play, they will take some dumb penalties. The Vikings are very well coached. Next question we got a bunch coming in from Tom Kennedy. What are your thoughts on Julio Jones? I'm actually going to take this one. And I think it's been a very up and down season for Julio so far. He only got not even 20 yards against the Saints defense, and the Saints defense is awful. Then he puts up 57 points, at least for my fantasy team, 12 catches for 300 yards and a touchdown against the Panthers, who, their defense isn't as good, but still an average defense at least. He's been and obviously when you're the level of Julio Jones and you're going into Denver like he did this weekend, I wasn't expecting him to have a great game because obviously they're going to try to take away the number one aspect, which is Julio. And a lot of defenses don't succeed in doing that, but this is the Denver defense. So I didn't have very high hopes for Julio coming into the weekend, but aside from the 57-point game, he's been a little sporadic, but I think he's fine. I wouldn't worry about him. I think all systems go. Matt Ryan has been really good, hasn't turned the ball over too much. The running game has been solid enough to open up the passing game. I'm clear sailing ahead for Julio. Next question. We're going to switch gears, actually, from football to baseball. Question from Nate Fisher. How do you think the end of David Ortiz's career will affect the Red Sox in the upcoming seasons? And I only think it is fair to give this one to Danimal.
Obviously, David Ortiz, the most iconic player in, I want to say, Red Sox history. There's obviously a little debate on that because of how much history the Red Sox have. But last night, him waving to the fans and him bawling, I was crying, man. It was just so emotional. And honestly, obviously having one of the greatest careers and one of the greatest seasons at age 40, still raking the ball. But I'm not too worried about the Red Sox. They could always move Hanley into the DH spot and maybe have Brock Holt play first base. Or Edwin Encarnacion is becoming a free agent soon, and maybe we could pick him up and we could have a nice Hanley-Edwin duo, and it'd be like kind of like Ortiz and Manny back in the day. And I see a bright future for this team. There's a bunch of young stars with Benintendi, Betts, future MVP Mookie Betts, and it's a good road to go down.
Danimal, you're on the questions box. You were getting quite the following today, impressing your fans. And thank you for the questions. We appreciate it. We do have to move on at the moment. For the moment, though, as we are going to touch on hockey and maybe to rock the Barnes Delight, maybe a little more than touch on it. We got to go a little bit into it, at least some ways, because the season begins tomorrow, and we really haven't given it that much love just yet. But we do have a few things to get through, so we're going to just go some rapid fire here for a couple things. Let's start with Stanley Cup final matchups. Let's just give the matchup first, and let's start with Rock the Barn.
there's so many good teams this year. Everyone coming in so hot from the World Cup of hockey. They all look so good. Every team seems to have a star now. But I'm gonna have to go with either St. Louis or the Blackhawks in the West because both teams with goalies making the playoffs. And in the East, either the Canadiens if they stay healthy or the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are young and just good all around.
All right, let's go Happy.
I'm going to keep this short and simple. I'm going to go with Nashville in the West. I really like their team this year. A lot of great players, obviously acquiring Subban and other guys. And in the East, I'm going to go with Tampa. Like Rock the Barn said, a lot of young talent and a well-built team.
All right, Gannon.
I'm going to follow suit there in the Eastern Conference, and no surprise here, I'm going to say the Tampa Bay Lightning. Last year, of course, they were really close, cut short by the Penguins. They had good, strong goaltending, and they have a lot of good pieces on the team. So I don't see any reason why they can't make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Then in the West, I'm going to say the San Jose Sharks. They might have some unfinished business from last year. Of course, they made it to the finals. They did not win. The Penguins took home the Stanley Cup trophy. But I think the Sharks could definitely get in again. They have a lot of players who are kind of aging, and they could come in and try to get that last push for a Stanley Cup final.
All right, Daniel, please don't pick the Bruins.
I picked the Predators versus the Capitals. Predators obviously picking up Subban. Subban kind of alone in Montreal, not really with a team around him that much. Finally, bringing him to Nashville, I think that's where he belongs. And the Capitals, obviously, Ovechkin. I feel like he's definitely tired of just losing in like Game 7s in the early rounds of the playoffs, and I think he's going to break through that next wall. But in the end, I think the Predators are going to win it. I think they just have more talent, and Ovechkin is still going to be ringless.
This is a really tough one because you guys, we seem to be very high on the Lightning. I am extremely high on the Lightning, and I really do want to pick them, but it's really tough. You have the Capitals there. I just don't think they can get it done. Honestly, it's been too much. The curse just keeps on going. I don't see a way it stops. And then you have the Pittsburgh Penguins, who will be right back there. I just feel like, they beat them in 7 games, and the Lightning were very shorthanded. They played with Andrei Vasilevsky for most of the series, as well as without Steven Stamkos for most of the series. And when he was in there, he was not 100% by any means. And I just think that Matt Murray's going to be out, first month or so. I think Crosby's coming back from this very recent concussion. I like them. I really want to go with the Lightning because I think they've just re-signed Nikita Kucherov today. Big believer in Ben Bishop after he was not as steady early on. Really like Ben Bishop, Victor Hedman, Anton Stroman, a former Ranger who I was sorry to see the Rangers let go of, but big believer in the Lightning, and I think they're going to meet the Blackhawks in a rematch of a couple years ago. This time, though, I think the Lightning are going to come out on top. Little role reversal. Patty Kane, Jonathan Toews, they've already won. They've been the San Francisco Giants of the NHL. I think it's going to end here. Let's hear some quick rapid-fire champion picks. Gannon?
I said Sharks Lightning. I'm going to go with the Lightning with the upper hand. I think the Sharks are just simply going to be outmanned by that talented Tampa Bay team.
Sharks are an older team. Happy?
Tampa. Same reason just Gannon just said. All of them. Yeah.
Rock the barn. Don't give me a surprise. Islanders here.
No, I'm not going to say that. A team that has been injury-prone, what seems to be for like the last couple of years, and when they're not the best team in the league, and that's definitely the Canadiens, going 9-0 to start the year last year, and then losing Carey Price. I've got the Canadiens winning.
Animal? I believe you said it before, but just reiterate.
Yeah, I'm going to take a risk, say Nashville. I think this is their year. They're going to be known for something that's not music for once, and obviously Subban, and it should be interesting to see.
All right. And now we're going to move on to dark horse teams. I'm going to start here. Very interested looking, reviewing right before the NHL season, prepping myself. The Carolina Hurricanes have been down in the depths of the Metropolitan Division for quite a while now, but they've been slowly acquiring really nice talent, especially when the Rangers decided to ship away their future for the wondrous Eric Stahl, who brought them such great treasures during that trade deadline, and he brought them so far. So they've acquired quite the prospect from the Rangers. They've been building through the draft. They have nice young talent, and even though nobody down there seems to know they have a hockey team, I like the Carolina Hurricanes to sneak into the playoffs. And in the West, the Calgary Flames. Yes, the Calgary Flames. 2 years ago, they were riding such a high. They rode into the playoffs, dismantled the Canucks in, I believe, 6 games. And then last year, they just took a regression. I think something was just off. I believe Bob Hartley was fired, right? If I'm correct. I think it was a bit of a surprise firing, but they have such a great young team. Johnny Gaudreau, Monahan, Giordano in the back. Just a really nice, exciting top-to-bottom team, and they've got their goalie problem figured out when they got Brian Elliott in the offseason, who is fantastic for St. Louis. I think their goalie problem is figured out. I like the Calgary Flames to go deep. Yes, rock the barn.
Yeah, you're right. They fired him. Their new coach is Glenn Gulutzin.
All right, probably just some Canadian I'm not familiar with. All right, Happy.
Oh, sorry. I honestly, I'm sorry, but I don't have a dark horse team. I don't see a team that's gonna really make an impression on me. I really just think the favorites of Nashville and Tampa. But if I had to pick one team to look out for in the future, I'm going to go with the Oilers just because of one man, and that's Connor McDavid.
It was an interesting trade they had. They did make trading away Yakupov, their number 1 overall pick from a couple years ago. I forget where he was traded to, but it was very recent. And they also traded away Taylor Hall. It's like they're taking away all of their former number 1 picks and now purely making it the McDavid show, which makes sense to make it the McDavid show, but to really trade away all of your other number 1 picks, I don't see it. All right, Gannon.
I'm going to go with my dark horse team, the Minnesota Wild. I know they've been successful in years past. I think this year they can really take a bigger step, I guess. They brought in Bruce Boudreau in the offseason. He was the fastest coach to be hired after being fired. There's only 8 days between those events taking place. They do have a talented team, Paris, Koivu. Then they have some good goaltending. I think they can definitely take a step in the right direction. I know they've had a winning record the last few seasons. But this year they could possibly make it to the conference finals.
Rock the barn?
Of course, I'm going with the New York Islanders. Their team is better than what seems ever been in 15 years. And I just feel it's their year. Their year. John Tavares, Andrew Ladd, great goaltending, great defense. New York Islanders, that's my dark horse team, and I feel I would have put them as my Stanley Cup final, but they're just not there yet. They're very close, though.
I feel like we just heard a verse of the rap you will never sing. Okay, Danimal?
I gotta go with the Boston Bruins. Obviously, last year the defense kind of blew it for us last year. We were only 1 game, I'm pretty sure, in the playoffs, and then we got smothered by Ottawa. But I think this is a different year with Backus, and in the preseason, he's looked pretty good so far. And if we can just maintain Marchand and all of them can just lead the way. And I think they won't be powerful, obviously, in the division, but they'll just sneak their way in there.
We are rooting for our good friend Dave Gosher, if anything. So I'm actually going to skip the Jack Adams Trophy, which is Coach of the Year, unless anyone has a really outlandish pick. Do tell me, and oh, what a surprise. Here we have Rock the Barn.
I'm going to have to go with Lindy Ruff of the Dallas Stars. Second most wins out of his career last year as a head coach. Last year he had 50. He's been head coaching since 1997. He's already won this award back in 2006. I think it was with the Buffalo Sabres. He's made the playoffs 10 times out of his 18 head coaching careers. I just feel that he's going to bring the Dallas Stars to new heights this year. I mean, with the team completely healthy to start off the year, I think that they're definitely a team that could go very far and Ruff will win the Jack Adams Award.
Dallas Stars, popular pick to go far again. Their defense still scares me a little bit, and I don't think that with that kind of defense they're going to be able to hoist a trophy or get especially far. But obviously, Lindy Ruff has done a really nice job turning it around. So unless anyone else wants to mention a certain coach, I'm going to skip to the Hart Trophy, which is the MVP, and I'm staying with the Stars. Jamie Benn, this guy is an absolute monster. I believe did he win the Art Ross this year? I believe he led the league in scoring, and he's just absolute beast when he is healthy. Unstoppable. I really, him and Sagan and all the rest of their guns up there on the offensive side of the puck, it is ridiculous seeing them when they are clicking on all cylinders. You do not want to face them when that's happening. I love Jamie Benn. All right, happy.
I'm just going to go with Ovechkin. He's proven himself to be one of the best players in the league past, it seems like, forever. And I think he will lead the Capitals just short to the Stanley Cup Finals before going to lose to the Lightning, who were my choice. I just don't see anyone else.
Wow, happy. That's a bold choice. The finals of the Lightning versus the Capitals. I didn't know.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Hockey is a strong suit, man.
Daniel?
I'm going with Alex Ovechkin, and it's kind of a desperation pick because it's all or nothing. I think if Ovechkin doesn't kind of take control of his team this year, this year he has to take control and say, hey, I'm tired of losing in the playoffs early. I'm taking control of the league. And he has to go on a rampage. And if he lifts up the trophy and finally brings them a ring, I think it'll definitely help his odds. But we have to see some vintage Ovechkin this season.
Vintage Ovechkin. Well, his facial hair certainly implies that he's got more gray than seemingly the old guy across from me on the street. So who knows? Who do we have? We have Gannon.
I'm going to go with somebody who's probably the front runner right now. He and Patrick Kane. I'm going to go with Sidney Crosby. If the Penguins are as successful as they have been in years past, there's no reason why he can't pull off a Hart Trophy win. I think it's honestly down to him and Patrick Kane. It could be one of the guys you mentioned, Ovechkin and Jamie Benn, but I'm going to go with Crosby here. I don't think Kane repeats.
Rock the Barn, can I answer for you? Can I take a guess?
I think what you're going to say is wrong, but you can go.
Okay, well then, clearly I was going to say John Tavares.
No, that's not who I was going to say.
Okay.
I really wanted to say Jaromir Jagr. I mean, I felt like it could have been his year, the contract extension, but I feel like next year's a better year for him.
Yeah, along with Brady.
I feel like Steven Stamkos, coming off of the injury, is going to have a monster season, re-signing with the Lightning for a very low amount of money for the skill level that he has. People were telling him that he was going to get a lot of money if they go here, and right before he became an unrestricted free agent, he re-signs with the Lightning for not a huge amount of money, but I think 6 years, and showing that he really wants to be with this team and he wants to win with this team. He's made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2011 against the Bruins and lost, and that's the farthest he's pretty much made. And I think this year he made it too, but I feel like this is his year, and he's definitely going to play the best he's ever played.
You know, it's interesting. I'm monitoring through the chat box. We're getting lots of stuff. I'd love to see or really figure out who that bad kid on Eli's Rugburn ball team is. I am fascinated of who you are. So please do show yourself if you don't mind. I don't want to pressure you, but I'm very intrigued now that I've seen this. Let's finish out this hockey segment because I know we got to get this in. Rapid fire, Vezina Trophy, best goalie. I have to go with Ben Bishop. I've already made it clear. Unless Henrik Lundqvist decides he wants to turn back the clock and have Dan Girardi with him in net, although Dan Girardi would probably kick the puck into the net, it's Ben Bishop for me. Rock the Barn?
Carey Price.
Danimal?
Nothing else to say about that. Carey Price.
I have to.
Tuukka Rask? Did I hear that?
Wish I could take Rask, but probably Carey Price, even though he's on the Canadian.
Yaroslav Halak.
Not a chance. Thomas Christ. Happy?
Bishop.
Gannon?
I'm going to say Bishop as well, but you can never count out Jonathan Quick.
John
Always
Tambrador.
West Coast represent coming from Gannon. Yeah, glad we just love the Lightning. All right, so before we move on to our last segment, let's look at some questions. God, we have so many to get through.
Martin Brodeur, MVP this year.
Let's take a look here. That's not quite on topic. Let's see. Okay. Mr. Purple again. Let's not take the NFL question. Let's do the college football question. Just vary things up a little bit. Who is the biggest threat to Alabama's number one ranking in college football? For me, it has to be Ohio State. That not just because they're number two, but when you look at just the way they've dominated opponents, and yeah, Michigan's good. They're number 4. I think Ohio State is just a class up from Michigan. Anyone else? Rockbarn?
No one's looking at Clemson this year, and that's, I feel like, a team to reckon with. Beating Louisville in a close game. I just feel they have a lot of talent this year again.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Let's see. Who next? Do you think the stupid Warriors will win it all since they got KD? God, I haven't heard that one enough. From, I think, Anna and probably one of your friends, Diamond Sword. Can we go to football again? Sure. All right. Who will win the Super Bowl? All right. Now that we're in this, again, I'm not even going to ask you because we all know your answer. Happy?
Oh,
Not the Giants.
Well, no, definitely not the Giants. Right now, I'm going to go with the Patriots. I don't want to, but I just think they're going to – if they play like they did against – you want to say something?
No, I was agreeing.
Oh, yeah, of course you're going to agree. But I'm only saying the Patriots just because I think if Tom Brady plays the way like he did last week, I know it was against Cleveland, that there's no one going to stop him. I think at this point my prediction is now going to be Minnesota versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And I think the Patriots will go over them and win.
I mean, honestly, but Cleveland would make me look like I was playing on Madden Rookie. Come on.
No. It's Tom Brady. It's
no. Is that what the answer you're looking for?
Yeah,
all right, Rock.
Maybe.
Anyone else want to take a stab on the Super Bowl? Rock the Barn, you probably really crapped it up in our tape in July.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. New York Jets winning every single game on forward. Not going to lose another game. They're going to the Super Bowl.
All right, well, the team that just kicked their butts, the Pittsburgh Steelers, write them down. Danimal, do we know your answer? Can we move on to the next question?
You know my answer.
All right, good.
Do you know my answer?
We know both of the answers.
I've said the Packers all along.
Okay.
I'd like to say the Patriots, but I kind of feel obligated to say the Vikings, you know?
See,
no time to
my original Super Bowl pick was the Cardinals, and that just went down the drain, so...
Well, they're not done yet. All right, let's see. What else do we have? They need to find, questions. Who's the best college football team? I mean, it's really Alabama right now. Ohio State's close, but it's Alabama in my opinion. And that bad kid on Eli's rug ball team reappears. Is Minnesota a serious threat to win a Super Bowl without Bridgewater and Peterson, spelled Doug Peterson instead of Adrian Peterson? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. We have someone who would sell you a brochure on the Minnesota Vikings just to my left on the screen. And even I, who am not a Vikings fan, have to say yes just based on what they've done. Their defense is plug and play, as is their offense. Really good. They literally, and having watched the Giants game last Monday night, they have about 8 former head coaches on their assistant coaching staff. Nowhere else do I think any other team has that in the NFL. Obviously, 8 is an exaggeration. Gannon probably has the number in his head next to his birthday, but it's 5. Anyway, that is more than
I'm pretty sure it's
other teams that I know, and for that reason, the leadership, with all the injuries they've had and things they've needed to overcome, that is part of the reason they have been able to do it. Anyone else? Broncos are the best. Well, tell that to the Falcons fans.
Yeah.
Okay. And all right, so we're gonna close out tonight's show, at least before the remaining questions, with our baseball segment. And the San Francisco Giants won a thriller last night, I believe in the 13th inning. It finished around 2:40 in the morning on the East Coast, so I was long asleep. And the San Francisco Giants found a way. They avoided elimination yet again on a Joe Panic walk-off after tying it up late. And they managed to do what they do. They stay alive. Did Bumgarner pitch yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Bumgarner versus.
So no surprise they won when Bumgarner took the mound. And they're looking to do it again today. Is Chicago going to be able to rebound on short rest, or is San Francisco going to make this even more interesting and send it back to Wrigley? Let's start with Happy.
Well, just currently right now the game's in the third inning and it's 1-1, just to point that out. And I do think Chicago will close it out tonight. Their team, I think the even year thing is done. I think it's time for the Cubs to move on and play either the Dodgers or the Nationals. Their team, just Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Addison Russell, Dexter Fowler. I mean, Arrieta, you're talking about Bumgarner. Bumgarner wasn't the reason they won yesterday. Arrieta hit a 3-run homer on him. I think that the Giants team is starting to falter, and I just think that now it is time for the Cubs to move on so I can get my World Series prediction right of Cubs versus Indians.
You know, this saga is taking a very interesting twist. That bad kid on Eli's rug burn ball team is either trying to mess with me or one of our best friends, the best RBB coach. There is a chance that our good friend, based all the way out in North Dakota, Clayton Collier, is watching. I'm not going to put anything down for sure because I don't know, but people, mark this down. This is a very exciting moment. We even have fantasy football teams named after him. So
I wonder who would name a team
No.
after Clayton.
if this is true, you are in the presence of greatness. So, actually, Gannon, I think your friend just said the Falcons got lucky. So, we hear from a salty Mets fan and Happy, and
Excuse me?
a little salty Bronco fan.
When
So-
have I ever been salty as a Mets fan?
Right now, saying that about the Cubs and how they're going to beat the Giants. You're a little bit mad about the Mets.
Maybe I am.
Okay, Rock the Barn. Who's going to win tonight?
Cubs.
Cubs. All right, short and sweet, Danimal.
Cubs break the streak.
Gannon.
I mean,
The Giants. It's gonna be too good of a series to not go to a game 5.
No.
I agree. I was just in Chicago this weekend, and the Cubs fever spread over. W flags flying everywhere. It's like the White Sox don't even exist. I don't even think they exist, to be honest. And
We're having technical difficulties, I think.
Yeah, Eli, your audio is absolutely god awful.
yeah, your microphone
Is
loaded.
is that so?
No, we're good now.
Nah, you're
We are good now.
Hashtag Clayton. Please.
Oh.
Sound like E.T. in an MMA fight with a robot.
Oh, well, you know who's joining MMA? Greg Hardy, because that's a genius decision.
Well, I mean.
So, yes, I think, even though I would like to take the Cubs tonight, I think they're going to win the series, but I think the Giants will find a way. They're home. They've done this for a living now. I think they win tonight. And lastly, we have our ALCS matchup set after 2 sweeps, Toronto versus Cleveland, and Cleveland will have home field after Cleveland took out the Red Sox in a sweep, and the Blue Jays dismantled the Texas Rangers in somewhat of a surprise. So, quickly, who makes it to the World Series? Rapid fire. Gannon.
Ooh,
Gannon.
Gannon.
okay. I'm gonna go with the Blue Jays. They got energy, got a lot of energy for the 6.
You love your energy tonight, don't you? All right, Danimal. You can't pick the Indians, can you?
Actually, I will. I hate the Blue Jays.
Okay, from one John to another John, Farrell to Gibbons. Rock the Barn.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with Animal here. I do not like the Blue Jays whatsoever. Let's go Indians.
Happy.
Well, first of all, last week, all of you made fun of me when I picked the Indians over the Red Sox, or some of you did. I'm not going to. But, yeah, I'm going Indians there. My prediction to make it to the World Series. And
All right. Yeah, I am on the Indians bandwagon. It's Cleveland's year. They're going to get it done. I mean, I'd like to see Chicago win, but this is just a really odd year for Cleveland sports. They're not going to have this for another 50 years. So savor it while you can, Cleveland. The Browns still suck. So that rounds out our structured part of tonight. We have a couple more things to get to. Who's going to win, the Indians or Cubs? That's from Nate Fisher. Okay. We had actually a trade. Someone asked for trade advice, and that is Thomas Kennedy. Would you take a 1-for-1 trade? Emmanuel Sanders for Tevin Coleman. I would be receiving Coleman. Well, Tom, what I would have to say is, one, what kind of scoring is it? I always look at PPR or standard first because that determines it, at least in the early going. And then it depends, what do you need and what do you have? If you have a plethora of receivers, then yeah, you can probably give up Sanders. He's going to be okay. He's not going to be great this season. And then you have to look at running backs. Do you need Tevin Coleman? I mean, he will be splitting carries with Devontae Freeman, so it's a tricky situation. You have to consider all of those factors.
he said it was
It is standard. Well, I've kind of said my part. Anyone who wants to chime in and give Tom some advice?
Well,
No one.
I would
Oh.
personally, I would take that trade. I think running backs are much more of a valuable asset to have in fantasy football because there's so few of them. And Tevin Coleman's been a pretty high-scoring running back for the first few weeks. And Emmanuel Sanders kind of had that one big game. I forget who was playing that day, but he had the one big game. This series has been shaky all the other games. I would go with that trade because receivers are easy to find in the waiver wire, whereas running backs are really kind of gold in fantasy football.
That Eagles defense pickup kind of backfired on me this week. I thought that was going to be a great pickup, but no worries. Parker didn't really set his lineup anyway, so came away, and now I'm 4-1.
I picked the
Let's
Rams
see.
defense this week, but Buffalo Bills are really proving everyone wrong right now.
And I guess I screwed you over off the barn. All right, that
Still
bad kid on
won.
Eli's Rugburn ball team. The Dodgers used 4 pitchers for 4 Nationals batters. Should a rule be put in place for thin order to speed up the game? Interesting question posed by that bad kid on Eli's Rugburn ball team. Anyone care to answer? This is an interesting one.
Do not go to me on this one.
No, I won't. Don't worry. You just kind of sold yourself out, though. Happy and Danimal are really our resident most passionate baseball fans.
I'm thinking this through, and I'm just, baseball. There's no way to speed up baseball. Baseball's always going to be the slow game, no matter what. So if the Dodgers want to use 4 pitchers, let them use 4 pitchers.
Wow, Danimal, I think this actually may backfire on you. I'm reading the comments, and our friend Thomas said, I accepted your trade. So he might have just used your own medicine against you. Is that the case?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
I have too many running backs, so I don't really care about giving up Coleman, and Golden Tate hasn't done anything, so I feel safe.
No, Golden Tate's been laying golden goose eggs lately.
Yeah, especially on my bench.
Still salty about
Indeed.
Kelsey.
No, I'll tell you after.
All right. Anyone else? Who else wanted? I thought I saw a hand on the baseball question.
It was Danimal.
It was Danimal. Oh, yes.
About the baseball speed
Yeah.
thing. Honestly, I think people just need to get a grip and have more than a attention span of a goldfish. I mean, some people just say, "Oh, baseball is boring." It's like, they just watch football or like basketball's medium speed, but that's mostly what most people say in my school, at least. But it's just like kind of baseball's book, not watching a movie. It's just you have to have patience with it.
Okay. Again, and I believe your friend is doubling down on some of the salty remarks we've made. So salty, if you dip in a fresh water, it would turn into an ocean.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Really coming up with good puns tonight.
I have enjoyed the audience and viewer interaction today. I don't know about you guys. I've had a great time with it, although it's thrown us a little bit off schedule and it's a little bit longer than we would have liked. It's the way it is. We've got it all done. We've covered our scheduled topics today. So if anyone has any last pressing questions, send them in the next couple seconds so I don't sign off before I see them. And again, if you are that bad kid on Eli's rug burn ball team, I would love, did you purposely put in that account, when you went in the chat, or did you actually create an account?
No, that's a YouTube channel.
It's a YouTube channel. You know what? Maybe there's another Eli, but I don't know. Okay, let's see. Broncos are the best. Well, they have a very good defense. Not going to argue with that. When is the next edition? Well, to answer your question, we typically do Mondays and Wednesdays. Just so happened we could not do yesterday, so we're on today. I don't do Wednesdays typically. Roman Scavone, my co-editor and chief, hosts those. I'll check in with him and let you know if we are doing one, if he's doing one tomorrow. Otherwise, it's Mondays at around 7:30. But I do encourage you all who are watching to Throw the Flag Sports on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, everything. You can search that on Twitter. It's at TTF Sport. Throw the Flag Sports on Instagram and Throw the Flag Sports on Facebook. And there you'll find a lot of our updates.
Yep.
And let's see. Danimal, when is your next album dropping, Danimal?
I can't.
I thought we might have heard a slight debut of Rock the Barnes' album today when he was going through that Islanders scenario. But thank you for tuning in. Have a great night from all of us here. Oh, yes, Rock the Barn. Thank you for letting my smooth send-off happen.
Blair Walsh for MVP.
Oh, God, you've opened up a can of worms I really don't even want to touch.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you for watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed, and please check us out on social media and tune in next week, likely Monday night.
Blair
Thank
Walsh
you
for
and good
MVP.
night.